Hey everybody, it's Michelle here, and we are going to finish up the second side and the cover of our little folio album. I've tried to work with the lighting. I hope it's better. I'm not sure if it's my room lighting or a setting on my camera. But when I was getting started, I did notice that I forgot to put my design paper behind our belly band here. So I went ahead and cut a piece. So we will start there. And of course you can use any piece that you want. I chose the yellow with the white polka dots, and we're just going to take that and slide it in behind our belly band. And slide it down in place. There we go. There we are. Now that side is completely finished. Okay, so get your cutting board and some white cardstock. Get that out of the way. And we want to cut, showing on our other one, we're going to make our two pockets. So we're going to make our larger pocket and the smaller pocket here. So we need, let's see, I wrote down the length, but I didn't write down the width. Alright, let's figure out this together. Or I tell you what, I'm going to put you on pause, try and figure out what's going on with my throat real quick, and give my measurements, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I pulled out another 12 by 12 sheet of white cardstock, which I apologize. I told you in the beginning that you only needed one, but I forgot with the little flaps, these have to be 9.5 inches long for one of them. So we're going to start with our cardstock, and we're going to cut it at 2.5 inches. And then cut at 9.5 inches. Alright, so set that one aside, and then we're going to cut another piece that is going to be 3 1/8 by 9. Alright, and then set your cutting board aside and get your scoreboard. Alright, I'm going to start with the piece that we cut 2.5 inches by 9.5, and on this one we're going to score it 1/2 inch. And then again score it at 9 inch. Okay. So let's set that one aside and grab our piece that's 3 1/8 by 9. And what we want to do is, I'm putting it on the 3 1/8 inch side. I'm scoring at 1/4. And then I'm going to flip it, score at 1/4. And then I'm going to flip it to the other edge, score at 1/4. So you'll have a score on 3 sides. And on this one, like we did before, we're going to cut that edge. You want it to look like this. And we're going to do that at both sides where those 2 score lines intersect. Just right across there. And then that way when you fold it, you don't get a big bulge of a lot of paper right there. Alright, so grab your base page and your one that is scored on the 3 sides is going to be the bottom pocket, and then this one's going to be the next pocket. So just to make it easier on ourselves, we're going to go start with the one that just has the 2 flaps on the end. I'm going to take my pencil, and the bottom of this pocket needs to be lined up to your score line. And I'm just going to mark where it's at. So 1 mark there. So I make sure that I put this one in the right position. So I'm going to take these corners and I'm going to taper each one like so on both sides. And add your glue. Okay. And I'm going to put it down. Tell you what, let's maybe go ahead and use a ruler. Okay, I'm going to go down 1.5 inches and put the edge of this paper with the edge of my ruler that's measured down 1.5 inches. So just line that up, press it on the top and the bottom. There we are. Now, we're going to take our next pocket and put glue on all 3 of our tabs. And again, you want the bottom of your pocket to go right up against that score line, but not too close to keep it from being able to fold easily. Let me check mine. Yeah, that still works good. The only hard thing about working with white cardstock, you gotta be careful all the smudges and fingerprints. Okay, the next we're going to do our 2 flaps. If you remember from my other album, we have 2 flaps, like so. So I'm going to set this aside for a moment. And we're going to grab our cardstock. And we need 3 1/2 inch wide. If I have any scraps, that'll work. No. Alright. 3 1/2. By 5 3/4. And we need 2 of those. And grab your scoreboard. And I've got it on the 5 3/4 side, and I want to score at 1/2 inch. And we'll do that to both of them. 5 3/4 side, score at 1/2 inch. That didn't fold very well. Let me check something real quick. Okay. Alright, so set aside the scoreboard. Grab your base piece again. I'm going to go ahead and taper these little edges here. Alright, on these I'm going to glue the flap on the inside and just put it behind like so. Let me see about where we want to put them. Let's measure this one. I think it's 1/2 inch from the top. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and add some glue on your inside tab. Alright, sorry about that. My battery ran down in my recorder. I don't think I got too far without you. I'm going to place my ruler 1/2 inch down because that's where I want to start my tab. So we're going to go ahead and put glue on the inside of the tab. And just slide it underneath at that 1/2 inch down. And we have our first one. And we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. We going to put it 1/2 inch from the bottom. There we go. Alright, now we need our little pockets on the front that we put our tags in. So I'm going to set that aside for a minute. Grab your cutting board, and we need 2 pieces that are 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 by 4. I'm trying to go through my scraps and see what I have. I always do. Make sure. Yes, this one I have is already 3.5, so I'm going to cut it at 4 inches. And we'll need 2. 3.5 by 4. Okay, grab your album. And what I'm going to do is put glue on 3 sides and then glue it down, and then we'll have our pocket at the top for our tag. Put this behind it so I can see a little bit better. Okay, and now our next one. Glue on 3 sides. There we go. Now I believe we're ready to start putting our design paper. Now on the inside of my tabs, I took a circle, it's a 1/2 inch circle cutter, and I put the magnet inside that circle to hold down, and then if you have a photo, then you can just slide it underneath there. You can just put a whole sheet of design paper if you want. Just make sure you put your magnet underneath it. But for this one, I'm going to do the little circle again. So let me find some of my little design paper, my little scraps here. And my 1/2 inch, actually it's 1.5 inch hole cutter. Let's see what we could use. I was trying to catch that birdie right there. There we are. Let's catch this one right here with a little bit of a bunny inside of it. There's one, and we're going to need one more. See if I can get these flowers. There we are. Alright, and then grab some white cardstock, and we're going to make 2 more because we need something to sandwich that magnet inside of it. So I'm just going to do 1, 2 real quick. There we go. Get all this out the way. Alright. Let's set this aside for just a minute. And what I'm going to do is take one magnet, and I want it towards the right side of the little hole that we cut out. So I'm going to put some glue down. Then take one of my little cutout pieces, and we're just going to sandwich that inside. And just try and get all my edges together. Okay, one more. Put some glue towards the right side of the circle. Then take our other little piece. And sandwich that one in there. Alright, I'm going to set that aside for a moment to dry. And I'm going to go ahead and cut out my cardstock for all these pieces, and then I will be right back with you and we'll glue it up all together. Okay, so I have all of my pieces cut. So I'm going to start with putting down our little magnets. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put glue over about a quarter of the circle on the edge, directly on top of where that magnet is that we put it. So there's the front. Remember, we put our magnet here on the right hand side. So when I flip it over, I'm just going to put glue over a quarter of the circle so you can still slide stuff behind it going across that magnet again. Then we're going to take that, just kind of eyeball it and center it with our flap. I'm going to just hold that down for a little while. And that way you'll still have where you could tuck something underneath the edge of it. Same thing on this one. Our magnets on the right hand side. So I'm going to flip it over and put glue on a quarter of the circle across that magnet. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball and put him down here. Alright. I'll let that dry. Okay, I'm going to take another magnet, have it adhere to that one. We're going to put some glue on top of the magnet and flip it over. Press down. And then it makes that little circle indentation. So I'm going to take the magnet, put it back in that little circle, and I'm going to put some tape to hold that in place. And for our other one, put our magnet down, put some glue on the top, get that indentation. and transfer it over onto that glue mark. And add some tape. Okay, I chose this design paper for the bottom pocket. So I'm going to pull up that tape backing and get some glue and put it down. There we go. Now I have a little piece here to go in for our second flap. We'll glue that one down. Oh, look at the little deer. Let's put some glue on there and get that one in place. There we are. We have that one. And then my last little piece to go on the top. There we go. And for the top pieces, for our little pocket, I've chosen this paper. And I got some little pink with white polka dots for the top edge. And it's just going up to where that pocket opens. See there? And then again for our top flap. And our last little piece, and then we'll start working on our front and back cover. And there we have it. Alright, we are going to set this aside for a minute and grab your chipboard pieces. Try and get all this out of the way. Now on my chipboard pieces, get over there, I actually use my paper cutter. What I do is I take off the sharp blade that I'm currently using for my paper. Once I have a little blade that's getting dull, I go ahead and kind of mark it. Just put a little black mark on there so I could tell the difference. And it works fine to cut with chipboard, so I saw no need to throw them away. I just continue to use them. I went ahead and cut out one piece already. The chipboard is 6 by 8 3/4, so I have one prepared, and then I'm going to cut down my next one. So I'm going to start with the 6-inch side, and with this you just have to press down really good and go quite a few times as you're pressing down. And then usually just to get that bottom layer, I just kind of fold it and it just pops. So 6 by 8 3/4. Alright, now we have our 2 chipboard pieces. I think in the beginning I failed to mention that we needed some batting, so I just have a couple of pieces cut out here, and I'm going to take just a regular glue stick, because it doesn't need a lot to hold it down, because your fabric's going to be the one that's actually holding it in place. We're going to press that down and cut any excess off around the edges. So I'm just going to go around and cut. And little extra bits kind of poking out here. And our next one. There we go. Now the fabric I picked, which I showed y'all in the beginning, I just picked it up. You know, at Walmart you can get just little tiny squares of, I guess it's cutoffs or something, for a couple of dollars. So I want approximately 1 inch around, or 1 inch larger than my chipboard piece. Make sure I get all this in the camera. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, lay it around, and then cut it. Of course, we'll need one more. Alright, we'll just set that aside. Okay, I use Fabri-Tac. I'm gonna get my little mug to get it draining down correctly. Okay, so we want our batting side down, and I am on the back of my fabric. And I'm going to start with the top. Man, this glue gets crazy. Once it starts coming out, it's hard to get it to stop. So we're going to flip that down. And you might want to have a rag handy because this glue gets everywhere. So I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing for this side. And we're going to pull it a little snug and flip it over. And if you have any type of clips, I've got these like little, you get from the office supply. Let's keep those handy. Now let me see if I can get this to show up well. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut on the edge of the chipboard piece to where it kind of has a little flap up like that. Let's see if you can catch that. And then turn it around, and then I'm just going to cut across and take out that little square. See how that worked there? And we're going to do that for all of the sides. And that'll keep us from having too much fabric bunching up when we fold it over. I don't think these scissors are very sharp. Got those two, and let's get these. And one more. There we are. Alright, now I'm going to take some glue and put it on this little tab here, and then see what I tell you about this glue. Once it gets started, it does not want to stop. And then also some glue on this tab here. Oh, come on, really? Alright, maybe I won't put it upside down so much. Okay, I do have too much glue. I'm trying to get rid of some of that. So take your little tab in, and you want to fold it over like so. We're going to do that on both sides. Now once you have those ends over, I take my little Tim Holtz tool and I hold in that edge and fold it over at the same time. So we can try and get a really clean fold. Got some frays on there that are annoying me. Hey, there we go. Alright. And just if you have any frays like I did, sort of push them back down inside there and take your clip. And do not leave these clips on very long because you will notice it'll make a mark across here. So just keep them on long enough to where you think the glue is set. Alright, let's pull this one tight. And we're going to do the same thing with this edge. Just try and make it nice and pretty. Put a little clip. There we are. Now let's try our other side. Put some glue on that edge. Glue on this edge and then across here. Bug coming around. Okay, let's taper this edge here. And same with this one. And we'll start flipping it over. Clip it. Pull this across fairly snug. And then we'll do our next edge. Just want to look as clean as possible. There we go. And I'm going to take these clips off this other side, so make sure it doesn't mess up my edges there. And we have another to go. Yay! It looks like it's going to stay in place just fine. So there's our first panel. So let's do it all over again. We're going to put our batting side towards the back of the fabric. Start with the top. Pull it down. it over. There we go. And that glue goes right through that fabric, and I'm a big fat mess by the time I finish all this. I'm thinking I have too much on the sides here. Let me cut these edges, and I don't want it to bunch up. I only want it to be about an inch, but that's more than an inch. Let's do a dry run, see if yeah, I don't think that'll be too much. Let's go with it. So we'll put our glue on our little tabs. And then across here. Put our clip. Sometimes I take a little bit of the glue if the fabric where I cut it is frayed. Put a little bit of the glue on it and it'll keep those frays down. One more side. Yeah, this one's got a pretty bad fray. Some glue on it. Alright. Pull that. Yeah, I'm not liking how this one came out at all. See if I can get some glue in that corner. I guess I should have went ahead and trimmed my fabric. But it is what it is, and that's what we gotta go. Well, this end didn't do so bad. All right. Okay. Put it somewhere else. So I am going to sew around my edges. I think I actually have my sewing machine working correctly. I am going to put some ribbon. You know, y'all, of course, naturally, y'all don't have to use the fabric. Y'all are more than welcome to put some paper, the design paper on the front and back of yours. I did use a ribbon tie. So if you do decide to sew around yours, make sure I put a little bit of glue first to just kind of hold it in place. Let's find our center. So I know that my chipboard is 8.5. So I'm going to make a center mark at 4 1/4. And I'm going to do that on both sides so they line up correctly. So I just tack down some glue to keep it in place while I'm sewing around it. And I think they were about 8 inches long. So I'm going to do that, put one on each side, and then when I run my sewing machine, when I do a stitch around the edges, it'll catch that and help keep it in place. So I'm going to go ahead and break for now. I'm not going to show my sewing because being my sewing machine, as much as I love the look, me and my sewing machine do not get along, and I don't want y'all to hear any cuss words on this YouTube channel. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be back with y'all shortly. Alright, so I got mine stitched up, and I'm so excited that I didn't have too much trouble with it. So after you finish stitching it, you're going to have these threads that are coming out from both sides. And I'm going to try to explain this. Okay, do you know when you have a stitch, you have your bottom stitch and then your top stitch that loops over it? What I'm going to do is, on the back part, I'm going to find where that loop is, that top loop, and then I'm going to put, I just have a little needle here, and pull it under it and try and pull it out. And what that does is, your thread in your front, it draws it to the back, and then that way you glue and secure it down. Because if you just cut this thread here that's coming from the front, then your stitch may come unraveled as time goes by. So just be patient and go to where your last stitch is and find that little loop. Take your pin, your safety pin. Did I get the right one? Oops, that was it. Let's see. Here, I think this is it. Well, come on. Of course, just because I'm trying to show y'all how to do it means I'm going to have trouble today. Did you? Oh, woman. Well, I just finished doing it with this one. Now it's going to give me a hard time. Oh, why? Ha! I finally found it. Alright, so I'm just going to pull that through. There we go. Now can you see that? I no longer have that stitch that's coming out the front. I've pulled it through to the back. So I'm just going to cut some of this little excess thread. And then take my glue stick. And we're just going to pull that down. There we go. And like I said, I've already done this side here. I've already glued that one down. Alright, now we need to do our spine that's going to attach these together. Whoops, like this. So, like I said, I'm using, it's heavier than a cardstock. It's actually a, they call it chipboard, but you see how thin that is. It's used for my Cricut. Regular cardstock, I think, is a 65 pound. At Michael's, you can get an 85 pound if you, and that would work well. It just needs to be a little bit stronger than regular cardstock. Okay, and our album is 8.5 inches. So we're going to cut it at 8.5 by 2 inches, because our spine right here is 1/2 inch, and I want it to hang over both sides a little bit. Okay, now get your scoreboard. And what we're going to do is we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay, make sure I got that straight. There we go. Now we're 2 inches wide, so I'm going to score again at 1.5 inch. And this stuff's a little thick, so okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this first score mark at 1/2 inch. I'm going to go over 1/16 inch and score, go over another 1/16 and score, go over another 1/16 of an inch, score, 1/16 score, go over 1/16 of an inch, score, and I'm going to keep doing that every 1/16 of an inch until I get to that last score line. So can y'all see there what I did? And that way we get the bend for our spine. So just to recap one more time, score at 1/2 of an inch, then score every 1/16 of an inch after that until you get to 1 1/2 and stop. Okay, now we're going to take our 2 front covers. Make sure you have your ribbon tie. Oh, I got a little crooked on that one, I'd say. Ha! Yeah, well, I guess it's a new look. Alright. I'm just kind of bend with it, make sure all those score lines make a good curve. A good curve. I'm going to use my score tape and some glue, and I'm just going to add score tape from the edge there all the way to that first score line. So all the way next to that first score line. I'm getting off a little bit. And I'll pull that one up and then go across again, because this tape is 1/4 of an inch, so I need 2 in a row to cover up that 1/2 inch between the edge and the score line. And we're going to do the same thing on both sides. I'm going to take that backing off just so I can overlap on top of it to get all the way to the edge. Of course, it's sticking to my fingers as I go. Alright, so I'm going to take off the top of that score tape on both sides. And I'm going to add some glue for 2 reasons. I'm going to add it for extra strength, and then also if you put some glue on top of your score tape, it gives you a little bit of time to maneuver and get it in place, because everybody knows how sticky score tape is. But the glue helps you, just give you a little bit of wiggle room. Alright. So what I want to do is make sure your ribbon, sorry I'm laughing at my mess up, and I'm going to put the edge to that first score line, lining it up top to bottom. There we are. Well, that didn't quite get mine. Let's do it from this side. With all the fabric and stuff, it made it a little bit thicker than 8 1/2, unless I cut mine wrong. Nope. Yeah. Give us a good curve here. So let's add some glue to our other side. Make sure your ribbon's on the correct side. I'll put it, there we go. There we are. Now we have our edge. And with all our scoring every 1/16 of an inch, it'll give us a nice curve on the edge of it. Okay, so our next would be to put our inside. Now we do not want to glue on this edge. We want to glue on the front and the back, and make sure you have yours right side up and all that jazz. I should have made more. What this one ended up being. I think I made my spine too big is what the problem is. Let's see if that'll come off. Ha ha ha. When we put it back on next time, we're going to use fabric glue. Yeah, got that thing barely even on there. We're going to put more glue on this one. Let's see how I can explain this. 2 inches. Let's do this. Center it as best as you can. Take your pencil, mark. Can you see this? Oh, I'm sorry, mine's moving around. We're going to trace it on both sides. There. Can you see my... No, well, you can't because of my light. But it's there. I didn't want to make it too dark because I don't want it to show up. So I have it traced. So there's a 1/2 inch right in this center. We are going to take our fabric glue this time because, yeah, that was way too easy to pull off. And I'm going to put my glue all the way up to that line that we just made. I'm improvising here. I apologize that this wasn't all set. But I forgot to write down the size of my spine when I wrote down the size of everything else. Alright. Now we're going to put this piece all the way up to that line that we just made. Just kind of eyeball it top and bottom. Get it centered as best you can. I'm going to go ahead and get my clips back. And then I'm just going to put a clip there. Let that dry. Clip here. In the meantime, we're going to take our fabric glue and we're going to go this way all the way over to that trace that we made. So let's take our other side and put it all the way up to that trace line that we made, centering it top to bottom. Yeah, that is going to be better. So we should end up with a 1/2 inch gap. So take a clip and we're going to put it on this edge to hold it in place. Put it on this edge to hold it in place. Let's see how that looks. Oh yeah, that's much, much better. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put some clips all across here. I want that glue to stick down really well. I really hadn't thought about what to put on the front part of it yet. My funny not matching ribbon there. It'll work though. It's got character. I was thinking about doing like my other ones, except for adding more flowers. Having one of this, that one's cute. Good news, baby. That stands out good too against that pink. But I think I like this one the best. Good news, welcome. Love, that one cute. Oh, I think that we're going to do that one. Toss up between these two. I'm going to cut that out real quick while I'm waiting for this one to dry. Let's see. Now, I forgot to change back to my, this is my chipboard cutter. Change back to my paper cutter. Let's cut this little guy out. Oh well, I'll have to decide which one of those I'm going to use. Let's go ahead and take this apart. There we go. Now we're going to put our inside in. See if that looks better. Oh yeah, that looks much better. We don't have as big a gap around the edges. I like that. Okay, let's get some score tape and some glue. And we want to use our fabric glue again. And this tape will also hold it in place while it's waiting for the glue to dry. Alright, sorry about that. I am unfortunately on call this weekend. Just want to push all that tape down, and then we're going to pull all the backing off. Let's see, make sure I've got my front page on the front. Yes. Now take our fabric glue around the edges there. And just remember, I did not put any glue on the spine. You only want your tape all the way up to that score line and your glue. Do not put anything on the spine. Okay. Get this first section in place. Trying to cover up all those stitches, stitch marking. There we go. Let's open it up so we can press it in real good. Okay, now let's do our back. Again with our fabric glue. That's why I was trying to keep it upside down in my little cup. Keep from having to do that, but it just made a big fat mess. Alright. Alright, I'm going to add some clips to hold this in place. If you do, there's one way to keep these on without marking up your fabric. Let me see. You can take some little pieces of chipboard, put it against the let me flip this so you can see what I'm doing here. If you take some chipboard and put it against the fabric there, and then put your clips, it provides an even pressure and it won't put those indentions into your fabric, so you can leave it a little bit longer. And I'm going to do that. And again, let me get another one for the bottom. That way I can leave them on longer. Make sure that that's all adhered down. Alright. Let me go ahead and do, it looks like I'm getting a little bit of a gap here. So let me get a couple of more. We'll do it on the front. Always a good reason to keep scraps. And I am just going to let this set for a while and then take it all apart, and I'm going to finish up the inside with my photo mats. Now we're just going to let this sit right here to finish up the inside with my photo mats. I'm going to add some of that ephemera. And I'm probably going to go ahead and do my front. And I will get back with y'all with the finished product. If y'all have any questions, just leave me a comment. And if you share my video, I'd appreciate it. Bye-bye. Alright, now we have a finished album. I just layered some of the cardstock, or design paper, sorry, and then I used the little ephemera pieces that I have to spell baby across the top, and then I just added some flowers onto it. On the inside, I went ahead and I made my little tags, and then I added some little die cuts at the top. And then we open, I added some of the die cuts here, which, let me show you. I left the edges open so you could slide something underneath both of them. And of course we have both of our flaps. And then I had a long piece, so I put it in there. Maybe you could take it out, use it as a bookmark. And then I added some photo mats underneath our belly band. On the opposite side, I have some more tags with the little cutouts. little die cut baby pins on each side. And then all I did was make some photo mats for each one of these pockets. Got 5x7, some 3x5s, I think 4x6. So that is the finish of our album. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I would love to see if what you decided to create. So please leave me a comment below, and if there's anything else that y'all want to see, y'all want me to show y'all or to make, just also leave a comment below. It was fun. Thanks guys. Bye bye.